Hello everyone, my name is Steve and welcome back to episode 5 of Sneaky Programming. In today's video, we're going to be learning about object-oriented programming, and we're going to briefly touch on enums. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So what is object-oriented programming? Object-oriented programming is a type of programming. Lots of different programming languages use object-oriented programming, but quite a few don't. The language we're learning, C#, is object-oriented, meaning everything is centered around the use of classes or objects. To explain what I mean here, let's just define an object. Well, an object is an instance of a class, and we've actually already used them. In program.cs, we say new app. By doing that, we're creating a new instance of the app class. Therefore, we're making an object out of a class. An instance of a class is an object. But it's kind of a boring class to be making an object out of right now. So let's make a better one so we can really explain what this means. Right-click on Application, Add, Class. Make sure that you're under Visual C# Items and Class is selected. And now we're going to give it a name. We're going to call it Car. And here we go, the new class, Car. Now we're going to turn this into the best class it can be for an object. And objects have two main components to them. They have properties, and they have methods. So let's make a property. You can think of properties as being like variables. They're referred to as instance variables, actually. So let's make one. Private property of type string, and it's going to be called make. The make of the car, right? Let's do another one. Private string model, and another one for the color. Private string color. There we go. We now have 3 properties for our car. Now, how do we actually make these properties do something, and how do we assign them? We're going to use a constructor. Just like this. It's going to look familiar to you from app, where we have public app calls start. Remember that the public app, or the public car, is called anytime we make a new instance of car. Like in program, we make a new instance of app, so this gets run. So anytime we make a new instance, we want to define these properties. So in order to do that, we have to get the properties. So we'll do it through parameters in the constructor. So we'll say string make, string model, string color. Then inside here, we do this dot make equals make, this dot model equals model, this dot color equals color. There we go. Now, what are we doing here? Well, you'll notice that our variable names between these two are the same, which is confusing for the program because the program has access to these variables and it also has access to these variables. It has access to both because these ones are parameters, it's going to have them, but it has access to these because these are global variables, meaning they can be accessed from any method within the class. So since they're the same names, and we do want them to be the same names, at least for now, we use the this word. Now this means in the class's parameters, right? The class's properties, look for one called make, grab this one, and assign it to make, which is not from this, which must be this one right here. So that's what that's happening. We're basically, anytime we make a new car, we're going to assign these 3 variables something. Now, let's just make those variables actually do something now. We're going to be making some getters and some setters as well. So we'll start with the getters. We'll say public string get make return make. What are we doing here? Well, it's exactly what it seems. Because this is a private string, if we were in another class, we wouldn't be able to use make, right? We wouldn't be able to grab what's in make and use it in another class because it's private. So we get around that by using a getter. This is a getter method. GetMake returns a string. The string it returns is the make. This method has access to make. Other classes don't until we give it to them through this method. So let's make some more of those. Public string get model. Alright. And let's do the same thing for color. And there you go. We've now got all of our getters. Now we're going to do our setters. Again, these are private. We cannot just set them anytime we want to change these. So, in an instance of a car, it's safe to say it's fairly difficult to, through modifications, change the make or the model of the car. That's not something we're going to be doing, but we could change the color. So we actually only want to have the setter be for color. So we're going to say public void set color, and as a parameter, take in string color. And then here, all we want to do is say this dot color equals color. It's the same thing we did up here, where we take in color and we assign it to the instance variable color. This will allow us to modify color from outside of this class. Great, we've now made a great template for an object, so let's go ahead and use it. Go back to app. Now, app currently is a calculator program, and if you're happy with your work here and you'd like to save it, please go ahead and save it and make a whole new class or make a whole new program before you do this. Because what we're going to do is we're going to erase the math function, and we're going to erase all the way up to here in the start function. Now we can remove the comment as well. Come down below console.clear, and we're going to make a new object. The object is like a variable when we make one. So how do we make a variable? Well, we type, float number, right? That'll make a variable. We want to make a variable of type car, right? So we say car equals new car. And you'll see we get the red line under here because we didn't pass in the parameters. It wants a make, it wants a model, and it wants a color. And you'll see something interesting here. We can actually just pass in strings here, right? These are empty strings, but it's going to allow it because there's nothing that says that these strings have to be full of anything, right? So we're gonna fix that up in a moment or so, but let's just get past this part first. So we'll make our new car, and we'll make it, say, I don't know, Honda Civic, and that's gonna be blue, all right? And we can change the name of this variable to first car, all right? Now if we come down here, we can use this. We're going to say console.writeLine. My car is a first car dot get make plus space plus first car dot get model plus space and space it is space plus first car dot get color, and we'll add that. All right, make sure you've typed it exactly as I have, and let's break down what this is doing. So we're familiar with console.writeLine. It's going to write my car is a space, and then we have this. We have this plus sign. Now, to talk about what this plus sign is doing, it's called concatenation, and you can just think of it as adding a string with another string, right? So we know that get make returns a string. All of these things return strings. So we can very easily add what they return into a string. So firstCar.getMake is going to return Honda, right? Because in here, we set make equals to make, and make was Honda. So firstCar.make will be a Honda, so getMake will return a Honda. So we say my car is a Honda, then we add a space, then we add the model, Civic, then we add a space, and it is space, and then we add the color, blue, and then we add a dot. Let's look at what this looks like. There you go. You can see it now. My car is a Honda Civic, and it is blue. That's exactly what we told it to write. And that's the power of object-oriented programming. Anytime we want to make something simple like a car, there's not a great way to do it unless you want to say string car one color, right? Instead, we can just do firstCar get color, and we'll have all of this in one variable. And we can make multiple of these instances. We can make multiple objects. We'll say secondCar equals new car. And for our second car, say we go Jeep Wrangler black. And now we have two cars. And we can come down to the console. We can copy all that. And we'll change first car to second car. And we'll say my second car is. And we can run that. And there you go. We're using car in both of these, but they're different. They have different values. And those values are actually going to be persistent. We can keep on using those, and we can keep on changing them as well. So for example, we can say first car dot set color green, console dot write line, I painted my first car dot getMake plus first car dot get model, and now it is first car dot get color. So let's break down what's happening here. We've created first car. It's a Honda Civic, it's blue. We output this to the console, and we know it's working. Then we decide to paint the car green. We're painting the first car, so the second car won't have its color changed whatsoever. We're only changing the color of the first car, and we're changing it to green, and then we're outputting the new values. Let's take a look at this, and you can see that it's working fine. It is blue, my second car is black, I painted my Honda Civic, and now it is green. Great, that's working wonderfully. But I want to just touch on the fact that we don't actually have to put anything in these quotes. We can fix that. There's quite a few ways to do it, as is the case with anything in programming, but I'm going to take this opportunity to teach you about enums. Now, enums, you can think of them as kind of custom variables. If you come over here to application, right click and hit add new item, and we're going to call this car color.cs. Hit add. Now in here, we're going to come up here to where it says class, and we're going to change that to enum. In here, we're going to write black, blue, green, gray, purple, red. Now you may be a bit confused as to why all sorts of errors aren't throwing up. Typically, if you were to write something like this, you would be using comments or it would be an error. But this is an enum. This isn't a class. We're defining a new kind of variable. the variable type is called a car color, and that variable can be equal to any of these things. Let's use that. We're going to come into car, and where it says string color, we're going to change that to car color. Just like that. And we have to change it down here as well for the getter and the setter. Now that that's done, come to app, and you can see we've got some problems here. The Honda Civic should be blue, so we're going to set it to car color dot blue. Alright, set it to car color dot, and you can see all the various colors that it could be. We're going to make it black. And then over here, we wanted to set the color to green, so we say car color dot green. That's what enums can be used for. You won't just have an empty string. You're making sure that that value will be something. It'll be something real and something you can check. All right? But this isn't perfect. If you take a look, let's just run it and take a look. As you can see here, nothing has changed. And in our particular case, that's good. What's happening is we're still outputting blue, black, green. All right? But we're not actually using strings anymore. So what's happening there? Well, what you see is that it's actually outputting exactly what we type in here. And that's something you need to be wary of with enums. Because if this wasn't about a car color, and this was about something else, and you had an obscure enum name, like STR, first class, or just anything that wasn't just easy to read colors, right? Then if you try to output it, it's going to tell you exactly what it says there. So that's just something you need to be aware of. In this particular case, it all worked out fine. But it might not have if we had been doing something slightly different. So just bear that in mind whenever you're using enums. That's going to do it for episode 5. We've covered a lot. We've talked about object-oriented programming. We've talked about how you can make your own variables using enums. And that's going to do it for now. Now, if you're following along on this series and you really want to learn programming, then I have a bit of a homework assignment for you between this video and the next. What you have to do is you have to make a new program. The program should be a car dealership. It should have user input. People should be able to buy many cars. And feel free to customize it with how many cars they can buy, or if they have money, or if they don't have money. And just do your best with that. And then in the next video, in episode 6, I'm going to be making my own car dealership program, and we can go through how it all works. So that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, leave it down below in the comments section. And have a great day, everyone. Bye.